Hello, Sports and Spaghetti fans. This episode, episode 96, was recorded before the NHL trade deadline, so some of our takes in this episode are a bit off. If you hear the wrong team named, it's because this was just a prediction show before the actual deadline. As always, enjoy the show. Hello, everybody.
Hey-o.
Hello.
I can't believe we've reached episode 96. We're really closing in on episode 100 of Sports and Spaghetti.
It's a coming. We're right there.
Yes.
We're about a month away, and today is going to be exciting. I always say that, but if you're Italian, if you're not Italian, you're going to be Italian after this episode's over. This is likely our most Italian episode yet. We're actually doing sort of a redux of an old episode, a very old episode.
Our worst performing episode ever.
Yes, Meatballs and Tarps Off Ferda. I think it was episode 5.
Yep.
It was in the original Playroom.
It was our last one in the original Playroom.
That's right. And it was Tarps Off because we had no shirts on.
I think it was like stupid hot
It
in the
was
room.
disgusting. You know how it gets in the summer in our house. And Anthony
Chris,
just had his undershirt on, and I had no shirt on. And so we did the episode that way. And subsequently, it did the poorest of any episode. It was probably like an hour and a half long, too. I think it was the first mention of Angel Reese as well.
It was the Angel Reese episode.
That's amazing that we remember that, and it was 91 episodes ago or something like that. Such is life, so it goes. And here we are with more meatballs. I think these are better, first of all.
I am leaving the tarp on.
I am also leaving the tarp on. That will never come off on the air. No. Before we get to all of that, let's talk about the Jolly Rancher Word of the Week. It did very well last week. I think it was the best week yet for the Jolly Rancher Word of the Week because I went through 2 packages of Jolly Ranchers in a week. Like 80 ranchers. Like so many people knew it. And it makes me think that just
They're
word
just
of
one.
mouth
Yeah,
is
that's what I'm
happening.
thinking.
And so I have to figure out a way to vet that. I have to figure it out. But anyway, this week, the word is defined as a type of heat where energy moves in waves away from the heat source. Moves in waves. That's your key right there. Okay? I'll give you a bit of a hint. It's either conduction, radiation, or convection, because that's what we're learning about in science right now. A type of heat where energy moves in waves away from the heat source. Very good. Okay. Now, we have a very exciting show, not just because of the meatballs. It is officially Meatball Sub Day, and there's not many times when a dish can be 100% homemade. But this is one.
This is one of those times.
I'm not going to use this. I brought this just because if you wanted cheese on it. This is not homemade cheese. So now it's 100% homemade. That also means the roll was homemade. The roll was homemade by Anthony. The sauce and the balls were made homemade by me. And Nikki's going to try it. And I guarantee you he likes it.
Yeah, I think he's going to really like this one.
So I'm not scared of eating this, but something about a ball of meat just makes me unhappy.
There is no way he doesn't like this.
So let me give you my go-to how to make a meatball sub.
Yeah, why don't you go to yours and then I'll tell you the right way. Go ahead.
So I do everything, but I like to crush the meatballs. I don't leave them whole. So I'll put them on the roll and then I just like hit them with a fork so you can kind of, that way they're not like shooting out of the roll and everything like that. That's why they're not cylindrical. They're not spherical.
Oh, why do you do that?
Probably the tiz.
Very well.
Do you put onions in your meatballs?
No, I don't think so.
That's very un-Italian.
Oh yeah, no, I grate it. I grate the whole onion.
You grate a whole onion?
Well, no. It's like a half of an onion. I'll grate it. Yeah.
I don't put onions in mine. Some people do. Some people use fresh bread. Some people use breadcrumbs. None of that all matters as long as it tastes good. And I'm going to tell you something before this. My mom tried one tonight. Okay? My mom grew up with the best meatballs in the land. Okay? Grammy made a 10. I told her to judge it, 1 being the worst meatball she's ever had and 10 being the best. And she said, well, Grammys were a 10. Bar none. Especially right after you fry them. A 10 out of 10. Hers were a 10. So that's the bar. She ate mine and gave it an 8.9.
Wow. Can't argue that.
And I was very happy with that.
That is.
So I'm excited to do this. After this, don't go anywhere because it is the first day of Starch Madness. And we will introduce all the combatants, all 16 of the competitors. Then we've got a hockey show, a hockey-centric show for the trade deadline for you today. Or Saturday, or whatever day you watch this. We're going to be talking hockey and Italian food.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Selection Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Selection Wednesday.
So, meatballs are there. I don't know. Oh, you know what I didn't do?
Bring a fork?
Yeah, but I think we have forks. I think we might have a utensil.
I think we have one loose spoon
I think
left.
there might be.
All right, we can use the spoon.
We'll be right
Use it yeah, we'll
be
be
right
back.
back with a complete meatball sub.
Yes. We're back, and we have plated our meatball subs, if you want to call it that. It's more of a meatball slice of bread, but I love mine is. At least yours look like proper subs.
Yeah, you get the middle. Sorry, Chris.
Oh, no, that's fine. Absolutely fine. You guys go ahead. I'm going to explain how I made them.
Beautiful.
All right? Just enjoy them. I know what it tastes like. I already had one earlier. So, to make my meatballs, they're pretty much Grammy's meatballs, except I don't use fresh bread because I don't have time for that at the moment in this period of time of my life. I use breadcrumbs, an egg, a pound of beef or turkey, whatever I'm making, a little bit of garlic minced up, Parmesan cheese, and some parsley, salt, pepper. Yeah. And then I fry them. I fry them until they're golden, they're browned on all sides. And that takes about 4 or 5 flips each. You just got to watch them. You can't go, poop in the bathroom. You have to watch them. If you don't watch them, they will burn. Guaranteed. Then, simultaneously, I was making the sauce. It's just my normal sauce. Nothing crazy. Nothing at all crazy about it. Just my sauce. After they were browned, I put the meatballs in the sauce and they finished cooking in the sauce. Previously, on my last foray into this, on the pod, I make meatballs all the time. But last time I did them for the pod, I'm pretty sure I used turkey. Okay? And I'm also pretty sure that I baked them after I fried them. And so they were not in sauce until the sauce was put on them after the fact. I find that this way gets a lot better flavor and it still keeps the harder outside with the really soft and delicious inside. That's just my personal preference on how to cook them. Everybody's got their own way. Yeah, my mom gave this an 8.9. Which I'm really thrilled about. And now I'm curious to see what you guys think about it as Anthony cleans a very tough stain off of that sweatshirt.
Dab, don't rub.
That's right. Housewife Anthony on the case. That's right. Hey, all right, I'm the housewife too. Okay? I do a lot of the
Jesus Christ.
Oh no!
I've fallen apart.
He's had a mare, as Nick would say.
It is a mare.
All right. Well, tell me what you all thought of that. I'm gonna eat mine now.
It was okay. I had hopes that I would like it. It's okay. That's where I'm at right now. It wasn't bad, but I didn't really like it, to be honest. Unfortunately, However, I did try a piece of bread after the fact without the meatball, and the bread is excellent.
Thank you.
No offense, Chris.
So, I think it's classic. I'm a toasted meatball sub guy, so I'm take this, put some cheese on it, throw it in the oven for a little bit. That's the only reason it's holding the rating down. Oh, Nick, you didn't do your rating, but
Oh, I didn't. I thought we just explained.
that's the only thing holding the rating
And
down.
it's a joint rating this time, which is unique.
So, I mean, meatball is delicious, sauce is delicious, bread is delicious. So,
It's all good.
again, I'm probably gonna go, because it's not toasted, I'm gonna go 8-9. Nope. You know what? 9-2.
We deserve that. That bread is so good. My God, that bread is good.
It is. The bread is
All
excellent.
right,
you.
Nick, your rating.
Um,
I would order this.
I'm gonna give it a. I'm gonna give it a 5, right down the middle.
I'm proud of you for trying it. It's something.
Yeah, no, I thought I might actually like this one, but I don't know. It just didn't hit the spot like I thought it might. However, once again, the bread was like honest to God a 10.
What was wrong about it for you?
I don't know.
Out of curiosity.
I don't know.
Because I really thought you'd liked it.
I don't know. The sauce just tasted a little weird, I guess. I didn't like how the sauce tasted. I don't know what it makes it up, but
Well, the sauce is not the sauce you're used to.
well, yeah, but I don't know. Just wasn't my favorite.
It's interesting because you've liked my sauce before. And
Yeah,
it's the same sauce. The sauce tastes the same, right?
yeah.
the same thing.
Well, I think my issue with like a lot of things is like mixing things together that I like. I don't like mixing things together. Like I like strawberries and whipped cream, but I don't like strawberry shortcake, cheesecake, whatever. Like
Shortcake,
I just
yeah.
don't like mixing things together. So like the sauce is good by itself, and the meatball is probably good by itself, but together I just don't like it. It's too much for me.
This is a heavenly piece of bread.
That's what I'm saying.
It's light, isn't it? You didn't think it'd be light, because I didn't either. I mean, I can go how to make the bread. Oh, let's do your rating first, and I'll talk about how to make the bread.
9-2 as well. Well done. That was a very nice tag team Italian meal.
So that brings it to a 7.80, narrowly.
There was an outlier.
There was an outlier. Narrowly being defeated by Coker's Crunchwrap from last week. He's never going to let us live that down, and it's Nikki's fault.
Honestly, I like that better than this. Like that's an honest rating right there.
This thing, in my opinion, makes that taste like a pile of poop. But that's just me.
So the bread was very easy. It was a kind of like a modified white bread recipe. I wish I had bread flour. Unfortunately, I only had all-purpose, so it's not as chewy as I would have liked.
Very
But,
fluffy.
I mean, it's very easy. So I used a packet of instant yeast, about 2 tablespoons of sugar, and then probably about a cup and a quarter, maybe a little bit
That's
more.
a lot of sugar, yeah?
Yeah, cup and
Heavy
a quarter.
sugar.
Yeah, cup and a quarter of a little bit of room temperature, not room temperature, 110 degree water. So they should say, little rule of thumb here: if you're looking to bloom yeast, use water that you would take a shower in.
Yes.
Rule of thumb. So Nikki, if you're ever making bread, hint hint, if you're ever making bread and you need to bloom yeast,
Yes.
the temperature of the water used to bloom the yeast should be one you would take a shower in.
I'd take a shower in like 100-degree water.
Yeah.
It should be, if it's cool, it won't bloom. If it's too hot, it won't bloom. It'll die. It's got to be right. It's got to be just at the beginning of hot. For me, that's how I do it. Just at the beginning, when it just starts to feel hot, that's when I do it. Not too hot, but when it feels hot.
Okay.
So after you get all that going, I put it in my KitchenAid with the dough hook. And then I added at the time, it was 3 cups of flour, and then I already said about a cup and a quarter of water. Just let that go on low speed. And then once that was kind of sticky and, tactish, I guess. I don't know the term.
Tactile?
Tactile, whatever it is. You add in another cup and a half of flour. You do it about a half a cup at a time. And then once the dough is sticky, not completely a dough yet, but not completely water, kind of in between, You take 4 tablespoons of butter. I cubed it up into each tablespoon, added it in one at a time at a medium speed, let that go for probably about 5-6 minutes until all the butter was incorporated. Then you throw it in a greased bowl. You let it rise for about a half hour, double in size. You take it, you cut it into 4, you roll it into your 4 rolls. I made 4 rolls.
Where are the other 3?
Jules ate one of them. And then one was my
one
practice
whole
roll.
loaf of bread?
It was a tiny one.
Oh. I was just like, that's a lot of bread. And then you made a practice one.
And then I made a practice one, yeah.
Gotcha.
So, and then I have one for myself, one for the house. So that's what I did. And then after you roll it into the loaf shapes, you're going to put it on a greased pan with parchment paper. Make sure it's parchment paper and not wax paper. There's a big difference.
You bet.
Parchment paper. You're going to spray it down with oil or butter, whatever you prefer, any cooking spray you'd like, and then you're going to let it proof again for another half hour. Let that double in size again. Take a very sharp knife, slit it right down the middle, and then bake in a 375-degree oven for about 20 minutes and let it cool off for about a half hour.
It's delicious.
Agreed.
It was proved correctly. You could just look at it. It's got. I'm now on Paul Hollywood. It's proper. It's not underbaked. It's not underproved. It rose nicely. Wow, you're really having a day over here, Tone. But yeah, very nicely done.
I think with my extra loaf, I'm gonna make it a garlic bread.
It's very good, and I like
fantastic.
the butter addition. The butter's very good. It's a nice flavor of bread. Very nice plain Italian roll. Very nice. It's just right for this.
I agree.
Having every aspect of that be homemade not only makes it somehow kind of healthy, but it also shows you that it doesn't take that much to make a fully homemade meatball grinder.
I made this right after work.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. I went home before I got the kids, and I made the meatballs and sauce. I could have easily made the bread, too, while all that was going on. You could have easily, this is something you could do. Probably better on like a Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, from knead to cool time, from the beginning of me kneading to when it was done and ready to eat, 2 hours.
That's pretty good.
For bread, yeah.
Yeah, bread takes a long time sometimes. Some bread takes all overnight. But good job, Anthony. Sorry you didn't love it.
Oh, it's okay. It wasn't the worst thing I've had.
You
that's
are
for
Nicky.
Sure.
You are picky Nicky.
Yes. And I've had gnocchi, so.
Yes. Speaking of gnocchi, it will not be making an introduction on our Starch Madness pasta shape bracket, but 16 others will. It is now time to unveil the top 16 Starch Madness competitors, Anthony and Nick. The way we will do it is we will go straight from 1 to 16 all the way down to 8, 9. I'm going to share some information today. Okay. With my 4th period class, and they're going to love this because I told them I was going to talk about them. They have really been doing well in my science class.
Shout out 4th period.
Yeah. As a whole, they've really stepped it up. And they are being rewarded. They were rewarded today with their own Starch Madness bracket. I played Starch Madness with them. And we went all the way till we found a champion. And there's this one girl in the class, and she is in like the play. There's a bunch in the play, which is I think Shrek this year. But anyway, she like just blurts out sometime from Wicked. Yeah. And then sometimes she'll like hold her ear and she'll go meow 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 meow, and they're absolutely insane. This is what I deal with. But anyway, they're cool. They're fun people, and they're still kids, right? Sometimes they think they're adults, but they're really just kids.
Oh, I find that clip funny too when I see it on TikTok.
I mean, respectfully, 6th grade was the worst year of my life.
They're really trying to navigate a choppy sea. Okay, it's a choppy sea.
A lot of things are happening to you
everywhere. Yeah, all right, that's enough. And that's what I tell them. That's enough. We're done with that. All right, so anyway, they picked fettuccine as their Starch Madness champion.
Hate to break it to you, 4th period. You're alone on that one.
I told them there is no way that even makes it out of the first round. But I did encourage them to vote on the social media, and they will. So we'll have nice participation this year.
Chris, where can they find those polls when they're up?
On Instagram at Sports and Spaghetti Pod, and on TikTok at Sports and Spag Pod. I had to give that out to a bunch of people today.
Ain't it just gonna be like a repeat of their in-class bracket then?
Well, that's the thing is we're gonna have to have other people try.
There will be other classes and other adults voting.
Fair. I don't know how much pull your class has.
Well, there's only 20 of them, so it's not.
Okay.
There'll be more than 20
Fair.
people.
We got to have a good turnout. If not, we could get railroaded here.
We could become railroaded. They could rig this. All right, ready?
Stop the count.
Hey. We're not doing that anymore. That was last time. This time it went off without a hitch. Okay, number 1 versus number 16. Guys, if you're watching or listening and we didn't put this at number 1, there'd probably be something wrong. Number 1, the 1 seed is spaghetti. And number 16 is Wheels. Okay, Wheels, the absolute underdog coming in because my mouse loves Wheels. It's one of her favorite shapes.
That's the most mid-1 seed I've ever heard in my life.
Well, the reason it's the 1 seed is it is the most purchased pasta.
Thank you. It's the number 1 highest selling shape of pasta. That is more or less what we went by. We did have our own flair and our own influence, which I actually did not change one of these, and I'm doing now, which is to the chagrin of Anthony and I, really. But we'll get to that anyway. So spaghetti versus Wheels is the 1. We're not voting on these today. That'll be next week because March Madness has not started yet. I believe it starts next Thursday, correct? That's usually right when it starts. Anyway, the second matchup, the 2 versus the 15. Okay, number 2, penne. Okay, another hugely popular shape of pasta. Verse number 15, pappardelle. Okay, one of my very favorites. I had that last night for dinner. Pappardelle versus penne.
It's been featured on the show before.
It has been. It has been. Many of these have been featured on the show. The next matchup is the 3 versus the 14. Number 3, medium shells. I did switch this around. I wanted shells to be the 3. I thought they deserved to be the 3. And so did one of my students in my period 4 class. He left the class and he goes, "For the record, Mr. Walker, medium shells are the best still." And so number 14 is fusilli. Okay, if you are a Seinfeld fanatic.
Which one fusilli, though? For real.
Corkscrew.
Fusilli is longer rotini.
That's what I thought.
Fusilli was featured in an episode of Seinfeld. If you know, you know. So was macaroni, involving Bette Midler. It's Macaroni Midler. It's Fusilli Jerry. And he goes, "Why is it Fusilli?" "Because you're silly," Kramer said. He made him a statuette of himself out of Fusilli. The 4 versus the 13. Number 4. This is a good one. This is a good matchup. Rigatones. Rigatoni. Okay? The 15-minute cook time pasta. You should not cook that if you need to be somewhere or if you got kids that are starving. 15 minutes is a long time to be in the pot.
You know what you should cook if you got starving kids or if you need to be somewhere?
That's right. You should cook number 13, angel hair, capellini. Okay?
Minute and a half, tops.
Really? It's like a blanch. Bang! You know who loves angel hair? That guy.
Do you?
No, angel hair's gas.
My mouse loves angel hair too.
My mother used to cut it up after she cooked it when we were younger.
Oh, I didn't ask for that.
It turned what?
I didn't ask for that.
I know. She would cut it up because, she
Anthony
wanted us
looked
to
at me
choke.
like I did.
Turned into mouchad.
It turned into a bit of a soup. It turned into like a tomato soup with pasta in it, which I'm not complaining about. It's just part of my childhood. I just remember that. So the longest cook time on the bracket versus the shortest cook time. Yeah, that's an interesting point you made there. Good catch. 5 versus 14. Farfalle, bow ties, or butterflies, as Sabrina calls them, versus number 14, rotini. I'm surprised that rotini is the 14th out of all of these, because I would, 12. I don't know why I put a 14. It's 12. 5 versus 12. I should have stopped myself when I saw 5 versus 14. I was like, what? 5, 12. 12 is routines. The 6 versus the 11, Anthony. Number 6. Linguini. The kids hated linguini in my class. I was like, what?
The flat.
Oh my God. I would take that over spaghetti. Well, that might be a matchup. We'll see what happens.
Spaghetti.
Somebody touch my spaghetti.
Versus number 11. This is going to be a highly contested and controversial pick. ZT. The plain tubes.
Yep.
That's all you're getting? All I'm getting out of you?
For now. Guys, if you didn't know, if you didn't watch last year's Starch Madness, these next 4 episodes, we are going to kill each other.
Nikki and Anthony are going to kill each other for sure. And I'm here for it.
Bro, I mean, nah. I can't even do this right now. It can be saved till
We need
next
to
week,
save it.
but
We
like
need to save
you're
it.
an idiot, to be honest.
Why is he an idiot?
Just because he is. Like, God forbid I asked someone to be in the bracket and it's World War III.
You know what I didn't appreciate
I said
today?
what?
I didn't appreciate how he passive-aggressively said, oh, you just didn't put my favorite in there.
Like
and
we were
didn't
supposed
say
to know what it was.
Yeah, because you do know it. Oh, be like we supposed to know what it is. First thing you said, ZD question mark? Okay.
I had an inkling.
Oh, an inkling?
I had a creeping suspicion.
You knew. You're just brain dead.
Wow.
There's a clip I wanted to send to the group chat with Nikki. It was a Sopranos clip from the first episode with AJ.
Yeah.
We can't post it anywhere,
Right.
obviously, because we could censor it, but that was him today.
Yeah, basically. That's good stuff. All right.
No, you guys were arguing the whole day about, oh, we put this in. Oh, I want this in. And you just left mine out.
You didn't say anything.
You knew what it was.
You could have just said, hey, guys, can you put ZD in? It's my favorite.
Okay, why wasn't ZD in it to begin with, though?
Because
It
He's
wasn't in
trash.
the top 16.
Doesn't matter.
It's trash?
Bro,
Not yet.
Just
What
go
is
there.
you
You
saying,
can say
bro?
it.
What
Not
is you
yet.
saying?
Not yet.
Yo, mute
next
his
week.
mic,
Next
please.
week.
You can say it.
Next week.
Mute his mic.
Oh, boy. It's already bubbling over. The cauldron's bubbling already.
Wait, what is ZD against, real quick?
Linguini.
Yo, I swear to God. I know you guys are about to kick ZD. I mean, no. Whatever, bro.
I should have put it against Bucatine because they're basically the same thing, except one is just longer.
I don't even know what a bucatine is, bro. And that made it over ZD somehow.
Anthony does love himself a Bucatine.
Of course he
okay?
does.
All right, the second to last. Oh, this is exciting already. The second to last matchup is the Battle of Sabrina's 2 favorite shapes of pasta. I'm excited that this ended up being the 7-10. Cavatappi versus Gemelli.
That's tough,
and
bro.
one has
That's
to go in the
tough,
first
bro.
round. Hey, there had to be tough matchups, okay? This was done a little bit intentionally with that one. Sabrina would pick Cavatappi. That's her number 1. Let's see what others we say. 7-10, that's a tough one. That's a close one. And then finally, the 8-9 is fettuccine versus bucatini. The bucatini is the spaghetti with the hole through it.
All right.
It's thick spaghetti with a hole through the middle. It's very good with like Alfredo or a cacio e pepe.
It's the only thing I make my carbonara with.
Carbonara. Anything with like a cream sauce, so the sauce infiltrates the inside of the pasta.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Kind of like ziti.
Oh, yeah. Weird how that works, isn't it?
It is. But you know,
Ain't that weird?
a quick foray, if I may.
No, if you're going to talk about ZD, I want to hear it.
No, I just want to say something.
All right.
I'm going to defend you a little bit.
All right.
Ziti has its place. Okay? There is a place for ziti. Unfortunately,
That place is the trash.
I don't like the dish that it's usually served in, which is baked ziti. Okay? I've also seen baked ziti made with penne a lot, or rigatoni. Ziti was what they served at lunch at St. Greg's
Yep.
on pasta days.
Yep.
The woman, the New Yorker, would be butter or sauce. You remember the woman that did that
Yes.
butter sauce?
Yes.
And it always had that smell when you went into the kitchen. We would go into the kitchen for it. It was good. The sauce was actually good, right?
Yes.
It was good sauce. The sauce now is horrendous. The sauce was good there. I would eat the sauce. The sauce. Anyway, go ahead. You're looking something up, fact checker McGee.
No,
So
I just had.
Ziti isn't even a real pasta, according to ChatGPT. Ziti is actually a tube.
No, I just had AJ's thing queued up.
Did you hear what he said?
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah, y'all can leave my ZD alone. Your bucatini is literally ZD, but longer.
Nick's not going to vote for it just to spite you.
Imagine not liking something that's exactly the same but longer. Crazy, can't believe it.
Okay, imagine the other way around, though. I never said I didn't like bucatini, Mr.
Throw in the garbage. Rah, rah.
Play the ding. Ding, ding, ding. All right. We're moving on. It's in no particular order time. This is very fun. This has been a lot of fun for me tonight.
Can we take a 2-second break? I just have to plug my charger in.
Please hold and enjoy this message from your local sponsor. We are back.
And I'm connected to a power source.
Good. It's time for no particular order. I'm going to tell you a good, a bad, and an of the week. And we're going to talk about some hockey to close it out today. We'll go through these a little bit faster because none of these are hockey. I figured since it's a hockey show, let's keep it. Let's get some other sport involvement so my students don't yell at me. LeBron James has become the first NBA player to score, 50,000 total points. For as much as people put him second to MJ, his numbers do speak for themselves, all right? He shouldn't have to worry about who's the most plentiful scorer in history. He won't have to worry about being a winner. He won't have to worry about the unbelievable influence he's had on this generation of athletes. He is that guy. And it's so funny that I put him as the good because at dismissal today, a student in a class I was covering said, LeBron's not even that good. And I was like, what are you talking about? People hate this guy because he's so good. That's the only reason they hate him. That's it. The arguable GOAT. I don't know who I think is the GOAT. But I'll tell you right now, he's the GOAT of this generation. What did you do?
I'm updating. I'm just changing it so I can have one of my comments back.
Why did you take ZD out?
I didn't. I put it back in.
Oh.
Well,
Anyway.
yo, is my ZD getting touched?
No, it's fine.
All right. I'll get into the script if I need to.
Please do. Do yourself a favor.
You're
God!
gonna see a
I don't use that strap.
You're gonna see a 5-paragraph essay on ZD next time you open the next week's script.
Good. Contribute. But anyway, LeBron is the good of the week. Congratulations to him. All right, you ready for the air? This is sad. This is a sad one. So, Tyler Lockett was released by the Seahawks. And why would that be sad for me? I'm not a Seahawks fan. I'm certainly not. But it's an F for me because Tyler Lockett for the last 9 seasons has been on my fantasy football team. each of the last 9 seasons in some league or multiple leagues. Whether it's just a backup or as a starting wide receiver, I've drafted him to every team if he's available. It could mark the end of his career. He's played a long time. He's been in the league since the mid-2010s. But I'm hoping he'll find a home somewhere if he decides to keep playing, and I'll draft him. Even if he's a 4th, 5th guy. He's kind of a big play wide receiver. Had a lot of good seasons, a lot of 1,000-plus yard receiving years, especially in the early 2020s. A few years ago, had 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Just a great football player, and somebody that the Seahawks definitely the fans are definitely gonna miss. So it's an N for me. It's a little bit sad. Always on my fantasy team.
K-State guy.
There he is. K-State. And the bad. I'm gonna yell. My grandmother.
What?
My mother's gonna kill me.
My mother's gonna kill me. My grandmother's ashes are on the floor.
What?
Have you never seen that video?
No.
We gotta stop. Right?
Pause. All right, we're back.
She's
We're a little bit
everywhere.
silly today. I'm gonna yell. Leicester City's last Premier League goal was in January. That's the bad. That's the bad. Should I even have to say more? You can't win a game if you don't score any goals. You haven't scored a goal in a month and a half. That's all. What are we doing? I can ask the same question of a local hockey team. No, not the fraud. I mean the hat tricks. Not the hat fraud tricks. Shout out to Andrew. I'm talking about the Isles. I'm gripping the mic real hard, okay? I was watching them play last night. Okay? I was watching the game last night. And I was making dinner. I was making the pappardelles. With the vodka sauce I made on the weekend. It was very good. Anyway, the Islanders laid an egg against the Rangers. Okay? To the tune of 4-0. Whatever. The other on Monday. Big metro rivalry. They're trying to catch up in the playoff race. They laid an egg. Not a goal. Nary a goal. So what happens? They go out against the best team in the NHL, and they win. To put them 3 points, just 3 now, out of a playoff spot, with 2 days until the deadline on the day of our recording. What does that mean? I think we know what it means. I think Brock Nelson and Kyle Palmieri are no longer available. No first round pick, no second and third round pick, no rental player that has a little bit of spunk. Nothing. Just the expiring contract of Nelson.
Run it back.
This is JT all over again. However, and this might count as one of my hockey takes, because it is. However, Lou Lamoriello knows what's best for this team, clearly. He knows what's best for the Islanders. He knows that standing pat at the deadline is the right move. He knows. He's not going to make a trade unless it's a good hockey trade. He's not going to make a trade just to make a trade. So, them being 3 points out, they beat the best team. Well, duh, we should buy. We should lightly buy. We should add an expiring contract for a playoff push that's going to score 4 goals the rest of the season and nothing in the playoffs. They're chasing 5 teams, Anthony and Nick. They're 3 points out, but they're 5 teams out of the playoffs. They have to pass 5 teams. And I think they will, which is the worst part. Anyway, Brock Nelson is a major trade chip this trade deadline. I don't think he's going anywhere. That's my analysis. Somebody else do one now.
Okay, I'll do mine on the next. I think probably the biggest piece, the biggest chip I think is going to fall. Mikko Rantanen.
This is interesting, Anthony.
Mikko Rantanen, you are a Los Angeles King.
Wow.
Now hear me out. Carolina, as of right now, they only have one starting defenseman under the age of 30, and that's Jalen Chatfield. He's in their bottom 6 pairing. He's he's the last guy on the ice. This team is 7th in the league in total defense. But if the move was just about this year, right? Like if they just want to get better for this season, why even trade Mikko Rantanen, right? So you're looking for the future. This team has to get younger on the blue line. Their number one defenseman is their number one pair is Jacob Slavin and Brett Burns. Brett Burns is almost 40. Slavin's 32, I think, 32. So this team has to get younger on the blue line. Now, obviously, we're going to go probably a first-round pick. Enter Jordan Spence.
Really?
Jordan Spence, 26 years old. He plays bottom 6 defensive minutes for the Kings right now. They're very strong defensively on the ice. They're 6th in the league. They're right above Carolina. He's just entering his prime. He's a true defensive defenseman. 3 goals, 17 assists this season, but the guy has 64 blocked shots and 59 hits. I think he's a +3 on the ice, something like that. He's real close to 0.
So what this tells me is that you're saying that Mikko Rantanen is just a trade piece. That's why they acquired him.
Well, I think they originally acquired him with the intention of signing him, but it just hasn't worked out.
Not.
So you're not in. I mean, you might as well get something out of him. But to me, right, this is very reminiscent of the Brock Faber trade, and that's why it popped into my head. This is the trade that brought Kevin Fiala to the Kings. He was also an impending unrestricted free agent, and LA immediately upon receiving him from the Wild, they signed him to a 7-year extension. So Fiala's locked up. LA has projected about $25 million in cap space for the 26-27 season, so a long-term deal should be in the cards. They should be able to sign him. It's an aging, scoring offense,
yep.
And he brings it in. So again, it's trading out of surplus on their defense that they've done before, bringing in a legit scoring threat, and then they have. They get some picks out of it. I think this can really, sincerely be a win-win for both franchises.
I love it. That's a great take. I could definitely see it. I don't know if I had the Kings on my list for him, but you've explained a deal that really works, and it could help both teams. Like you said, Rantanen didn't really work out, hasn't really worked out in Carolina, and I don't think he will come playoff time. Either. Nice job. All right, Nick, let's hear about one of yours.
Okay. Well, what do you want to hear about first? I got
hear
things.
about Scott Lawton.
Okay, Scott Lawton. Big trade target for Tampa Bay Lightning. He is a two-way player. He's very physical. He's very gritty, and that is something that the Lightning usually sign and probably will have no problem signing if they decide to go after him. He only has a $3 million cap hit till the end of next season, so it's not just a rental. And I think he can play anywhere in our top 9 lineup, which has just gotten better as of earlier today.
Yeah, the Lightning just signed or traded for Yanni Gourde.
And?
Well, before I get to that, hold on. They signed Bjorkstrand, which is good. They gave up a lot. And a lot of the Lightning fans are upset because they gave away a little bit of their future, and they're basically trying to say, I think we're contenders again.
I think because they're in the East,
I
they're
think they
absolutely contenders.
Yeah.
If this is a team in the Western
You're right.
Conference,
You're
I
right.
don't know.
No, they are a contender.
Yeah.
They are lighting it up right now, and they're a scary team. They're starting to have that feeling back that they had in the early 2020s. And I think acquiring Gord gives me even more of that feeling back. I mean, he scored the biggest goal of his career against the Islanders, right? In the Game 7 shorthanded 1-0 win. That's what he's remembered for by Islanders fans and by Tampa Bay Lightning fans. I love that he's a Tampa Bay Lightning again.
I do too.
He is one of those guys that I could see playing his whole career, playing it out.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of when Matt Martin went back to the Islanders. It's like, this is right.
Yeah.
This belongs here. I think Scott Lawton would be a great addition to that lineup for the
He's just kind of perfect because like the Lightning always go after guys like that, like Gord and all that aren't like the most skilled players, but they will grind out every shift. They will try their hardest on every shift. They will earn it. They will try and win no matter what.
That team wants to play really hard still for John Cooper, which is rare after all these years too. You see what's happening in Pittsburgh with Mike Sullivan, and that's kind of going stale this season. It really is going stale this season. Very cool.
Well, that's why, like in hindsight, it was so important to actually get rid of Stammer. Like that's probably like one of the hardest things to do as like an organization, but it was the right thing to do. And I mean, look at what's happening to Stammer now, which is sad to see.
It
but
sucks. It sucks, and it's not all his fault. But Stamkos on the Preds is no Stamkos on the Lightning. An under-average player right now.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Chris, you mentioned Pittsburgh, and there's another player on Pittsburgh that I'd like to talk about. I talked about him a little bit last week. We got some flack on social media for this, but give me
Flack is good.
Give me a second. I'm going to explain it. Okay, right now. Okay, I'm seeing Sidney Crosby trade mock-ups.
Yes.
That's how bad Pittsburgh is.
My mom was telling me this tonight. She's seeing Crosby mock-ups too. They are terrible.
That's how bad Pittsburgh is. So if you're Pittsburgh, you need to look at a guy like Rickard Rakell, and you have to say, what can we move? What can we get for him? A little bit of a homer pick here. Nick went with the Lightning. This guy is almost tailor-made to go to Minnesota. First off, he's Swedish. 95% of Sweden's players are on Minnesota's team, so they just traded for another one. I think he fits in perfect there. But another thing, right? So I was digging into some stats today. Kirill Kaprizov, long-term injury reserve. The guy has been hurt consistently throughout his career. Minnesota Wild this season, with Kirill Kaprizov in the lineup, they are 22-12-3. Wow. With Kaprizov sidelined, they are 14-10-1. So it's a significant drop-off. The goal scoring, you may ask? Well, with Kirill, they're at a 2.92 goals per game. Without Kirill, they lose almost a third of a goal. They're at a 2.68. Wow. So it doesn't sound like a third of a goal doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot.
Because of one player being out, that's a big difference.
So you think of Rickard Rakell, and the guy is bringing 20-plus goals. I think it's 24 goals, 27 assists. He's bringing that. He could be a prime first-line guy until Kirill gets back. And even after Kirill gets back, you could leave him on the first line depending on, how well they play together. But this is going to loosen up. It's going to get a lot more scoring for Minnesota. And what do you get out of it? Well, I think if you're Minnesota, you're going to want to add a sweetener to this because Minnesota, I don't know if you know this, the worst penalty-killing team in the league. 32 out of 32.
Even worse than the Islanders.
Horrendous. These guys cannot stop a power play for the life of them. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at Pittsburgh's roster and I'm scrolling through and I'm looking at their lines and I'm like, who's on their PK unit that you could move? A name familiar to Chris, a name familiar to the show, Anthony Beauvillier. He is on that penalty kill unit for Pittsburgh. He is on that penalty kill unit for Pittsburgh. I think if you throw him in, that's a nice little sweetener that can push Minnesota to give up a little bit more. Now, what would the return look like? A guy like Zeev this name is so hard.
Woo!
Buyuyum. Zeev Buyuyum, I think it is. He has there's two U's within 3 letters. It's insane. Zeev Buyuyum, I'm going to go with. You can see him. He was their first. I believe he was the first round pick last year. University of Denver captain, very, very similar to Faber coming up. A guy you might not want to get rid of, but if you can sign Raquel to a long-term contract, you might do it. And then a guy you actually got in the Faber deal, or with a pick that you got in the Faber deal, and that's Liam Ogren. He's had some time with the Wild. He's bounced back and forth between Minnesota and Iowa, but he's a guy where you throw in a first, you throw in a third, maybe a second for next year, and that's a needle mover move for Minnesota. It shows that they're ready because, let's face it, you told me today, if the season ended today, they're losing their series to Dallas. There's no chance they beat the Dallas Stars. Without Kirill, without a legit number 2 option, you've seen Boldy come out. Boldy looks great. Marco Rossi is not a bust. That team can have, if they make this trade, they can have a legitimate 4-headed monster of scorers on that team. I think it's a move that they have to make.
Okay, I'm going to go quick through both of mine, and then we're going to go to you, Nick, and then we're going to be out of hockey. All right?
All right.
My first one that I talked about Brock Nelson, but Brock Besser is an interesting situation, and there's been mock-ups of Brock Besser to the Islanders for Brock Nelson, and that doesn't make any sense, so pay no mind to that. I think Brock Besser really, not to glaze the lightning more, but I think Brock Besser would fit really well with the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Lightning are carried by their star players. Gensel, Point, Kucherov, Hagel this season. Hagel's having an amazing season. Anthony Cirelli. And with the exception of Gensel and Hagel, all of the other guys have been there for the Cup, so they've got that going for them. I think they could use some more depth. We talked about Lawton just a few minutes ago. If that doesn't happen, or maybe even if it does, I think they could use Brock Besser. Brock Besser's an interesting situation. Besser is a goal scorer, but I think he's a product of his environment. I don't know that he would be the same player on a different team other than Vancouver. But I think the Lightning could really use him. Another team that could use him, and if I had to make my guess, I'd say this is where he goes. It's the New Jersey Devils. If you didn't see, Jack Hughes just had surgery today. He's out for the rest of the season, and he should be ready for training camp next year. So he's completely off the team for the rest of the season. So Brock Besser could definitely fit in there. Tom Fitzgerald, the GM of the Devils, said he wants to add scoring depth. I saw one of his interviews. So I think Besser's going to be on his short list. I guess I read that a few years ago. They were trying to get him to come, and it didn't pan out on the deadline. The Canucks would be able to get a lot. The Devils would probably have to get rid of somebody like Dawson Mercer, who's playing really well for them. But they've got a lot of other lower-level guys, and they have a lot of second, and I think they have 3 second-round picks and a first-round pick they can give up. So I think Besser could go there, and that's Brock Besser. As far as the last one, and this one is real quick, it's just kind of funny, and it's Riley Smith of the Rangers. Riley Smith has come out and said he is refusing any trades to Canadian teams. He is Canadian. That could be a political statement. I think it is. But he has an 8-team partial no-trade clause, and that would one would assume that is all 7 Canadian teams and one American team. And I don't know who the American team is, but I sure do know that these things are never a good look for players. They're just never a good look for players. I could see him going to a lot of different teams. I don't know. I think a team that needs a rental could use him. So he's good for a team that's going to buy low. Not in Canada. I would have said like Ottawa. Ottawa would have been a great fit for him, but he's not going to go to Ottawa.
They've been buying low for years.
Right. I think maybe Detroit would be a good fit for him. Detroit's trying to make a playoff push. Honestly, I think the Rangers are a good place for him to be, but he was held out of the lineup this weekend, and so he's going. He's getting traded. There's no way. I think he's definitely getting traded. I could see him going to Detroit, though. All right, Nick, talk about Brandon Tanev before we get out of here.
So
tonight.
I was going to talk about Brandon Tanev, but then the Gord trade happened, and I thought, honestly, we probably won't have the facilities to go for him. So I thought, who else? Maybe Brock Nelson. Nah, I don't want Brock Nelson. So I thought, who else? And I found a guy. And I was like, oh, this guy's really hot. And he's on our target list. And I thought, Ricard Raquel.
Oh,
I swear to God. I'm sorry. I have it all down, a lot of what you said. But yeah, he's super hot. 12 points in the last 12, 48 points in 56 games. But he also fits our needs. We need a right winger for our second line, and he would fit that. And he's only a $5 million cap hit until the end of the 27-28 season. And our lines would look like Gensel, Point, Kucherov, Hagel, Sorelli, Raquel, and then Chaffee, Gord, and Bjorkstrand. And that would be a near unstoppable team.
That's an insane top.
Wow.
Line.
So which team does he fit in on more?
I think he fits with the Wild more. I will say that. But I just think like he does fit our needs, you know what I mean? But as a player, I think he fits the Wild.
What's interesting is that we've all talked about a player that could go to the Lightning. And that speaks to their value right now as a team. And I know a lot of people really have faith in them this year. And that's exciting. I will talk about Tanev for a second. The only thing, I don't know a team that, I don't have a team that I think he's going to, but Seattle came out and said they are willing to retain 50% of his salary to help move him. So they want picks. They need picks. They're a team that has not found the same success Vegas has found. Since breaking into the league, and they want to start building something back up. So Brandon Tanev has a long list of teams that he could go to, and the Kraken are willing to hold on to a lot of that salary, which is important.
I think it's going to be Ottawa or Winnipeg.
Yeah, I saw the Winnipeg rumors. Some people also said Palmieri to Winnipeg. It'll be interesting to see what the Jets do because they're in a bit of a slide right now. They've actually lost 3 games in a row, which is, it happens to even the best teams. But it's interesting to see what they do because losing 3 games in a row this close to the deadline could expose some holes.
So one thing with Tanev I want to talk about, God, I don't want to say it. I think he's a shoo-in for Dallas too.
Oh, yeah.
You look at Dallas right now, long-term injury reserve is giving them Sagan's on it. So they're not paying Sagan right now. They don't have to worry about Sagan against the cap. So they have flexibility. Plus, Seattle's going to eat it. I mean, he
plays that
he
brand.
Does. He
plays
does.
that annoying.
Bottom 6,
aggravating,
aggressive forecheck, rushing, just irritating.
An irritating player to play against.
I could see it happening
the big
now.
Stupid eyes. In his picture every year, he's like this. I like that, Anthony. I can see it.
It's going to hurt, too.
All right, guys. Very nicely done today. A lot of fun. Let's get to Grammy's Grinders of the Week. All right, Anthony, start us off this week.
All right, I'll start it off. My Grammy's Grinder of the Week is the Condor, Max Crosby. Listen, kid was a 2-star recruit out of Colleyville, Texas. He had 1 Division I offer, Eastern Michigan University, which now they play on Max Crosby Field. I don't know if you knew that. He bought the naming. He donated it, bought the naming rights to the field. So they play on Max Crosby Field. He was a 4th-round pick. He was the 7th defensive end taken. He was the 2nd defensive end taken by his own team in the draft. He overcame an alcohol addiction. He's been sober. He's gone through a lot. Why are we talking about him in the offseason? Well, Max Crosby, I'd say a top 3 defensive player in the league, shouldn't have any business wanting to stay with the Raiders. He should be throwing a fit. Get me out of here. Well, they just signed him to the largest non-quarterback contract in the NFL. 3 years, a guarantee of, I believe, $98 million.
Wow.
I think it's 116 total, 98 guaranteed. Max Crosby, a tip of the cap. This guy is he is what a grinder's about.
Absolutely right.
He's a grinder, and he's finally got to the top. He's making a lot of money. He's staying sober. He's donating. He's doing charitable things. He's a guy you would love to model your game and model your life after. Max Crosby, you're my Grammys grinder.
Well, the now part of his life. Right?
Yes.
All right. Mine this is tough. This is a sad one, okay? Brock Nelson is my Grammys grinder of the week. And I wanted to say it on the air on this episode while he's still an Islander. He is one of the last Islander players that Grammy knew really well. One of the last guys of that core that started in like the late 2000s and early 2010s that she liked. That his time could be coming to an end makes me extra sad. He might not be on the team Friday evening. I think he will, but there's a chance that he's not. 12 years with one team is super respectable, and there was ups and downs, but Nelly's a lifetime Islander to us fans. He might have played his last game on Tuesday in a 3-2 win over the Jets, but for today, Brock Nelson is my Grammys grinder of the week, and he's also had a great week. He has 2 goals and I believe 3 assists, which is just a sidebar to the great player that he's been. 3 straight 30-goal seasons coming into this season, and a chance to do it again if he stays or if he goes. He's one of those guys I'll root for no matter where he plays, but Brock Nelson's my grinder. Nikki?
I have some backstory real quick, context for this one. So there was a hockey game played somewhere, I don't really know, but it was a high-level game between Bell Tire and Little Caesars, 14U teams. And the final score of this game was 43-0. So my Grammys grinder is Landon Scott, 14-year-old goalie for Bell Tire, who made 98 saves on 140 shots.
Oh my God! That's insane.
In a real 14U hockey game.
98 saves?
On 141 shots.
So that's over 2 shots a minute faced. That's over 2 shots a minute. Sure, a flurry here and a flurry there adds up to like 8 or 9 shots in the whole game,
Yes,
right?
and he let in 43 goals, unfortunately, but...
It didn't matter. All he had to let in was 1, and
Yes.
the team was going to lose.
Precisely.
It might as well have been 1 goal.
He's my Grammys grinder. I would have walked off the ice, skated off the ice, whatever off the ice.
Insane.
That is unbelievable. What's his name?
Landon Scott.
Shout out Landon Scott. I've been there. I've never been there. I've never been to
I recall one like slight situation. I think when you played up once at this like nice rink.
Played in Yale.
It was like 13. Yeah, wasn't it like 13-0 or something?
Yes, I played for the
13-1 maybe.
I played for the Bantam team when I was a peewee, and I made like 58 saves or something like that. It was still silly, but
Yes.
that was a lot of fun that game, and everybody cheered for me. And I got the jersey.
Exactly.
It was,
Yeah.
it was a great time. Oh wow, that was a good one to end on.
That's
Thanks,
absolutely
man.
insane.
Guys, thanks for watching Sports and Spaghetti. There's another updated version of this. Do this.
Bye. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you next video.
Thank you. It's a much cleaner version of it. It's more clean cut and big girl of of her. Oh, Sabrina got a pedicure today and a manicure. She sat for it too.
Wow.
I was very proud.
Did she have fun?
She did. She went with her aunt Betsy, who's in town from New Mexico. Follow us on TikTok at Sports and Spag Pod and on Instagram at Sports and Spaghetti Pod. And thank you so very much for watching and listening. Anthony?
All righty. Nikki, Aunt, Chris, we got homemade bread. We got homemade sauce. We got homemade meatballs. As always, take care of your loved ones. Dab, don't rub. Where's the stain? And as always, stay full.